he talked about Scott Mumo's university might be doing well. Indeed, we are doing very well, I can tell you. 2017, we were doing very badly. I lived from one overdraft to another overdraft for 4 months. I could not pay salary to myself, to my deputies. I will jump 1 month without salary so that I can pay everybody else. And at one point, even I had to have my chairman of council lend us some money 3 times. 3 times. Then we paid later. And one of my friends even had to give me Kenya shillings 1 million to go to clear with one OD so that I can get another OD so that I can pay back the 1 million to the person. But since 2018 came, 2017 September to now, no, I've had more banks coming to me to seek for business. Yes, and I have some little that I've kept as for rain day, so that in case anything doesn't go right, I can at least survive for 2 months. For 2 months. So yes, God has answered our prayers. It's been tough. It's been difficult. In September, my students went on a riot, soft riot, sent me out of my office, and the television people were there, took pictures. It was in the media. My council is divided over the matter. Some of them think I should leave. Others, they say if I leave, the university will die because I've been prayerful and helping it to have some money. Okay? But there you are. This is Mumo, Scott Christian University. But this lady here, Pastor Mary Mumo, has been very prayerful. She's really been every Wednesday she prays and prays and prays. I am not as prayerful. I read my Bible for about 5 minutes. That's enough for me. But then she spent the whole day praying for me on a Wednesday. And then friends also send message. We pray for you. We are with you. And now my task was to talk about human resources and what else? Challenges of human resources. And Lindsay began this morning on my subject. And Lindsay, you read well, because I was just going to share briefly. That's why I need a lot of minutes. I needed just little minutes. Human resources. One time I put my stuff together about 5 years ago, and I asked them, what is the most expensive thing in the university? What is the most expensive thing in the university? My driver said it is fuel. Fuel is most expensive because, we go for trips and he has to put, fuel in the car. So that is very expensive for him. And then one of my secretaries said it's the photocopying, because she photocopies a lot. Even now, I can see them when I'm here. I see them photocopying a lot. Yes, it's money. So we went round and everybody was thinking and thinking, and nobody came to my answer, what I was looking for. Because that time I was spending about 2 million shillings on salaries every month. And in comparison, monthly expenditure that time was about 3 million or thereabout. So what is more expensive is the time. I told them it's time, not the salary, but time, because I pay for time. And when then the staff don't use time wisely, I waste that money, because I told them I pay for 8 hours per day, which is translate to about 40 hours per week. So you divide 2 million by 40 hours times 4, because you see it is 40 times 4, isn't it? Which is like, how much is that? 160. 160 divide by 2 million divided by 160, you'll see how much I'm paying per hour. And then you can come down to how much I'm paying per minute and for a second. And I told them time is the most expensive. So when we spend time gossiping, chatting, and doing other things and not what we're supposed to do, we are losing money. We're losing money. And then that which we must do, we must look for someone to do. And then we pay extra money for somebody to do what somebody is supposed to have done. And therefore we end up spending perhaps another maybe 100,000 or 200,000 on the job, because then we are losing. So I began to help them, all of us, realize the stuff, put together. That's why Musungu, you know Musungu? Mm-hmm. Musungu. Not white man, really. There are people who are white and not Musungu. Missionaries. Missionaries, yes. You see, they will say from UK, I think they say, wait a minute. Wait a minute, isn't it? Because I told my friends and myself, if we care for a minute, the hour will care for itself, the day will care for itself, the month will care for itself, the year will care for itself, and will be productive. We'll ask ourselves, what are we putting input, output, and outcome, and impact of our work? You know, what are we putting in? What is coming out? What is the outcome? And what is the impact? You know, I try to have my friends to have planning. I came from NGO out briefly for 2 years, and NGO out, you must have AOP. AOP is annual operating plan, and then after you got annual operating plan, you get a DIP, which is detailed implementation plan. So I began to help my staff to think that way. And one day I wrote to my secretary. I said to my secretary, what have you done today? Can you give me details of what you did? And she asked me again, what are you looking for? I said, I just asking you, what did you do today? What did you do today? And she could not account for time. Then I said to my deputy, one of my DVC's academic affairs, I said, please help me know what you've done today. And help me to know what you're planning to do tomorrow and the rest of the week. And what things that person wrote down could not occupy 8 hours. It could only occupy maybe 1 hour. And therefore tells me the rest of the 7 hours are wasted. So as we think about our stuff, and as we think about God providing us money, He cannot provide us money because we are wasting the money. And sometimes we hire too many people to do too little a job. It's like if you are cultivating a garden, and then you put 10 people to cultivate a small strip. Then they cut each other. That's what you find in Bible colleges, seminaries. People are gossiping each other. They are hurting one another. It's because we have too many people for a little job. Because my university, when I came in, it had only about 100 students, or less, actually. And staff establishment was much more than they could service the 100. No wonder then there's not enough money, there's not enough work, and therefore God can't do it. Think about your own college, seminary. How many people do you have working, and how many people do you have serving? You know, it's the people we serve and the people serving them. I went to school at where Professor Dunkett is now, and I was a student leader, and we calculated, and we realized for every student we had hired 10 people. For every student, we had 10 people serving us. And no wonder there was no money. And no wonder the people were fighting each other, you know, because there's not much to do. When I went to Scott in 1995, I said to the principal then, you should not have any deputy with you, because you have less than 50 students Why do you need a deputy? And then you have 2 deputies. And then they have nothing to do. You see, so I realize for us to manage our staff, to pay them well, we must have fewer of them and have them do more. Fewer of them and have them do more, and encourage them to do more. But you see now, this problem of culture. They are used to doing less. When you demand more, then they think you're not a good person. They will even send you away, actually, literally, because they want to spend an hour drinking tea, they want to leave office early, they want to come late. But in a corporate business, where we are now today, we are business class. We are not a missionary class, we are business class here in this hotel. We must then, therefore, help our staff to care for time. So this is what I'm trying to do now at the university. Try to have accountability. So recently, we have reshuffled people, put people in different places. And then we've begun to ask people to tell us exactly what they are doing. What are you doing? You know, they call it ballast scorecard, isn't it? Where we need to understand what you do so that we have an agreement with you. I'm going to do this. And therefore, if I don't do it, this will happen. We will pray for you, but even as we pray for you, we will have to ask you to leave. I made that decision, sent my DVC Academic Affairs home, and the DVC Academic Affairs then colluded with the students, leaders, so that they can riot against me and send me away. Yeah. And then also went to some of the council members, become good friends, and then they want to send me away. But I've refused, you see. Because like Professor Daggett said, if God has said your time is not up, you cannot give up and give it to, how can I put it, to the hyena, to consume it. To, you know, there are people who don't care really. You know, they are the, what you call them, recline? What did you call them? Was it the whiners or the recliners? Whiners. The whiners, you know, and they are wanting to do it. And they don't understand how difficult it is. And therefore, I thought that in terms of HR, I have been reading a lot about workplace politics, about managing human beings. They are not easy. They're not like computers. You know, if they are computers, and I always remember that our meeting in Ethiopia with the Professor Titienu. He said we're in the Ministry of Mendicancy. Is it Mendicancy? Mendicancy, where we must plead, we must beg people to do what they need to do. But a time comes, really, like today, we've been told that place is for everybody to come and eat dinner, lunch. So what must we do? We move. So we were lynched, isn't it? We were lynched. We could have said no. But, and I remember, was it Daba who said, it is the rules. So we follow the rules. And the Christian organization, many times, we don't follow the rules. And I was in a meeting, training recently, and somebody said, and I think it is true, the staff who causes you more trouble is not the staff that you fire, but the staff you're supposed to fire whom you don't fire. Did you hear that? The one who causes you most trouble is not the staff you fire. The one you fire may go to court. And in many Christian universities, people have gone to court. Even my own university, people have gone to court. Not one. Not one. In my term, not one. Even somebody now that my DVC threatened to go to court gave me 10 days. I was actually here in South Africa, I think. I was in Stellenbosch. It gave me 10 days. You know, they wrote me a letter. 10 days. If you don't respond, we will go to court. So I told them, you go to court. It's okay. We have freedom to go to court. Don't use that phrase that Christians don't take each other to court. No, it's not true. Not true. As long as you want to go to court, you're not a Christian at that point. There's something that you think maybe need to be dealt with, and therefore, they have not been to court even now. They have not gone. Because they know they have no basis of going to court. But if they go to court, we'll meet there at court, really, seriously, and deal with the matter. So what I'm saying is, the staff who causes us more trouble It's not the staff whom we fire, but the one who we should fire and we don't fire. We keep praying. And this is where we lose as Christian seminaries, where we don't, even God himself, imagine if God was like us, nobody would go to hell. Isn't it, Reverend Thomas? I mean, we shall all go to heaven because you'll be so merciful. But there are consequences, isn't it? And therefore, as we manage staff, as we celebrate the shiners, we must deal with the other two categories. They are part of our responsibility, really. And so when I looked at what to say to us this good morning before the afternoon, I think it's not yet, my minute's almost up, actually 1 minute. The point is that let us prayerfully consider how to raise enough funds to pay our staff well, because there's some staff we don't pay well, like those who clean, those who tea lady, you know, we don't think about them. They are foster families, isn't it? So we must care for them. But as we do the same, we must also bring some discipline of work. Because Paul said, if you don't work, don't eat. So why would you keep paying somebody's salary when they are not working? And this been my journey. It's not been easy. Maybe some of you have been presidents for longer than I have been. I have been only for 8 years. And I pray to God that I can do, at least I can hold on for another 2 years. Then I retire. It would be about 60, 61. I retire and give to someone else. And I thank God I began with about less than 100 students. I have about 1,000 now. I think, Daba, you saw about 1,000 that we have. It's by God's grace at home. And we had very few staff. Now we have hired a few more staff. Now our monthly budget is close to 5 million shillings, which is not easy because students don't pay. The church doesn't give. The university is owned by the church. They own what they don't know, and they don't know what they own. That's my statement. They own what they don't know, and they don't know what they own. So when you talk to them, it's like somebody who establishes a Radisson Blue, hires people, and does not give the capital, working capital. He tells them, you go look for money and begin to work. I put it this way, you open a kiosk, put up a nice structure of a kiosk, hire somebody to come and look after the kiosk. I don't stock the kiosk. And you expect the President Lizzie to stock the kiosk. And this is not my kiosk. It is, and when you want to do anything that is new and strange, they tell you, no, you can't do it. But when you are in difficulty, then they can help you to come out of the difficulty. So this is our challenge, but we must deal with human beings. We must deal with the human beings who we work with closely, the ones who think they own the seminary, yes, because they are also human beings. Mm-hmm. And then the ones who bring us, students, because also they are human beings. That's where we are public relations, so that we can relate with the people inside, people outside, and the people far outside. And by doing so, I think by God's grace, we will be able to at least hold on. And one thing I do when things are tough, I play golf. Play golf. How many of us play golf? What is that? Now, let me tell you, Daba, I know you run. I think maybe running is good for him. But when I play golf, if these human beings are difficult, the staff are difficult, I assign each golf ball to one of them. So whenever I'm hitting the ball, sometimes it's 9 holes, sometimes it's 18 holes. If it is much difficult, I do 18 holes because I include everybody. And I say I'm hitting them so that you don't hit them physically. I hit them, and that relaxes me. And we must find a way to relax. Otherwise, if we don't find a way to relax, it will be difficult for us to actually, even as we pray, it will be difficult to manage. Lastly, there's stuff which have become very difficult for me. And I know you're recording now, I don't know how to put it, but I'll put it still. The missionaries. In fact, they almost have all left. I have only a Korean couple now. See, you know, Professor Dankit has been a very good recipient of my missionaries. And I can tell you, you ask them, where are you living? They told me, because we've accepted other programs. But Professor Daggett also has other programs. But actually, I noticed the problem. Yeah, the problem is that they don't know what to do with Mumo, because, like Daba put it, Mumo knows many. They think they say so. It's not true. Mumo knows many people in the government, but I don't know actually. Okay, but they think so. And when I was in the UK recently, just last week, in fact last week, on Saturday, so somebody asked me, "What are you doing these days?" I said, "Why? I'm still at Scott." But we were told that you left Scott by the missionaries. Because their joy is for me to leave, that they can come back. Why? Because, as Daba put it, Mumo is surviving well. I'm not begging. And I can tell you, I've not written a letter to the US for the last 5 years to ask anybody for money. I try my best to look for resources, because I realize there are enough resources in Kenya for running. Maybe for development, I need people from outside. When I student at ECU, and they tell me, I write to my friends, and my friends, they pay the fees. I don't need to ask, I'm sorry, I know you're recording. I don't have to ask any Muzungu from America 100 miles away, 100,000 miles away, to deal with the matter which I can deal with. Because the fees is maybe 5,000 shillings. And yet they are writing to somebody, and I tell them, even me, I can clear it. A village matter must be dealt by the village. A national matter must be dealt with the nation. If it is international matter, it must be huge matter, which needs international relations. And I keep telling my staff that way, and I'm happy that eventually we can work together. But you see, my staff, somebody told me, and I think tend to agree, 20% will support my idea. You know, you talk about leadership. Only 20% will be enthusiastic. Pareto principle, 20%. Okay? Sometimes maybe 10, but 20% at least. And 20% or 10% will be totally against. And 80 or 60% will be in between, oscillating here. So sometimes then I must help the 20 to pull as many as possible toward the excitement. And the other 20 or 10%, I know them. I must discover who they are. And I must keep them, because they keep me on the check. Because the 20%, they tell me, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. You're doing very well, sir. Even when they know things are not as 100%, you know, they still tell me, yes, sir. But the 20% at the bottom will be always critical. So I talk to them and ask them, well, tell me, what are the issues here? What are the difficulties? If they can't tell me, I send my 20% to go and talk to them. Yes. And they gather information. When they gather information, they bring me. Nowadays, I have, as I wanted to share with you now, lastly, because my time is up, I wanted to show you this. Nowadays, what I do to make life easy for the 20%, I look at them all the time. You see this? I look at them all the time. I'm not sure that it's not opened. It's good to open. And even I have cameras now in my own compound, and I can listen to each one of them. Doesn't matter. I don't need to be there. So I get to get a little bit about the 20%. And sometimes, if I want, I can speak to them. I can hold here and speak to them. You see, this is life. You can see they are at the reception now. They are being served. And I tell my staff, I know when you come late and when you come early. I can see you and I can hear you. See, if I put volume, you can hear, can you hear?
Yeah.
If I put my earphones, I can hear the conversations. I can see my office also. Not only there, I can see my office. Why do I see my office? It's because I realize I should be able to see people when they want to come to my office. You know, as Christians, we are so complacent that everything is okay until we let people come in. This is inside my office, my waiting area in my office. I can see it. So, and now I have a lock in my desk. If you want to come to see me, I see you at the reception. And when you knock, then I open for you to come in. If I don't open for you, you can't come in. Because students came and they took me out physically. Now they can't physically take me out because I have a lock. I can lock even the main gate. You getting? I'm saying this to say to us, we must not be naive anymore. The world has changed. And particularly for Professor Daggett and I, we have accepted students from the government. And they have so much entitlement. They feel that they should be, like now, maybe they visited Professor Daggett, so they tell me I must do tarmac for them. I must buy 2 buses for them. And yet they have not paid any fees. The government tells them to pay only 8,000 shillings per semester.
Yeah.
How much money is that in dollars? $80. Is it $80?
Yeah.
$80. $80. And per year they pay around $60. And they want a bus, 2 buses, they want tarmac. They don't even know how much a kilometer of tarmac costs. They don't even know what I pay the teachers. I don't even have money to pay the teachers. And I can tell you another something, Professor Daggett. The public universities are much in debt than private universities. Public universities in Kenya, for example, they were using the remnants of those who government takes to go for what they call parallel program, which is like private students, which you bring them some money. Now that government is giving private universities these students, they have no remnant. So what are they doing? They are fighting us. How do they fight us? They talk to the staff, they talk to the students for them to riot so that we reject these government students so that they can be helpless, then they will go to back. You get the whole concept. It's a complicated matter. And yet we must manage all these human resources. These human resources, I say they include our students, their parents, our staff, our sponsors. They are all human resources. And then, thankfully, what they do, like now when I talk to my people, I tell them, take notes so that you can always revert to something. Because sometimes they tell you something, and then tomorrow they say they never said it. You know? So we record what it is they're saying. And if like we have student deliberations today, I tell my staff, record them live so that we can refer to it, we can resolve the matters, but also we can use some things to help us manage our human resources. Professor Daggett, I have finished, and I'm sorry I've taken a few of the time.